There is a version of the story about money that most of us grew up with. Money is scarce. There is a limited amount of it, and it belongs mostly to people who already have it. Getting some for yourself is hard, competitive, and largely a matter of luck. Or grinding yourself down for decades and hoping enough of it eventually sticks. In this version, opportunities are rare. The good ones are already taken. And by the time you figure out what they are, someone with more resources has already moved in. A lot of people live inside this story. It feels true. Sometimes it even is true. But Lesson 5 is a direct challenge to it. Kiyosaki is not saying the world is fair. He is making a more specific argument. The people who accumulate wealth do not find opportunities. They create them. And that capacity, to see what others miss, to act when others hesitate, is a learnable skill. It is called financial intelligence, and it is not the same as being smart. So what is financial intelligence? Kiyosaki defines it as 4 things working together: knowledge of accounting, reading financial statements, understanding what the numbers are telling you; knowledge of investing, how money grows, how to evaluate an opportunity; knowledge of markets, supply, demand, economic trends; and knowledge of the law, the tax and legal structures that protect and grow wealth. Together, these form a lens, a way of reading the world that opens up things invisible to those who do not have it. The critical point is this: financial intelligence is not about having money. It is about being able to see things. A person with high financial intelligence looks at a struggling property in a neglected neighborhood and calculates whether the numbers work. They look at a business bleeding cash and understand why. They look at a tax change and immediately understand who it benefits. A person without it looks at the same things and sees nothing much, or just risk, or something that is meant for other people. Kiyosaki told a story that illustrates this better than any theory. During a real estate downturn in Arizona, most people were avoiding the market. Prices had dropped. The news was bad. The general feeling was, now is not a good time. Rich Dad taught Robert to ask a different question. When prices drop, who suffers and who benefits? The person who needs to sell suffers. The person with the knowledge and resources to buy, they are in a golden window. The market is offering things at a discount. The only question is whether you have the financial intelligence to recognize what you are looking at and the courage to act. This is what Kiyosaki means when he says the rich invent money. It is not magic. It is the capacity to look at a situation most people are running from and see the opportunity inside it. That is a skill, and it develops through study, practice, and a willingness to make small mistakes in order to learn. There is one idea in this lesson I want to name directly because it shapes everything else. When most people are presented with an opportunity, an investment, a business idea, a new income stream, the immediate response is, I cannot afford that. I do not have the connections. The timing is not right. Rich Dad called this I cannot afford it thinking. And he believed it was one of the most financially destructive habits a person could have. Not because it is dishonest, but because it stops the thinking process cold. I cannot afford it is an ending. It closes the question. He preferred a different question. How can I afford this? It sounds like a small change, but it is a completely different instruction to your brain. I cannot shuts down. How can I opens a search for ways to build capital, for partners, for a smaller entry point, for an angle you had not considered. The wealthy are not smarter than everyone else, but they stay solution-oriented. They keep doors open that most people close automatically. Kiyosaki also says something in this section that deserves more attention than it usually gets. The single biggest obstacle to most people's financial development is not poverty. It is not lack of opportunity. It is the fear of being called a fool. Most people, rather than risk that embarrassment, never try. Playing it safe feels responsible. but over a long life, it is a very expensive choice. The action step for this lesson is simple. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start. Pick one area of financial education and spend 30 minutes a week actually studying it. Not a summary, the real thing. Take a small position in something and watch how it behaves. The goal is not to get rich quickly. The goal is to build the eyes to see what others miss, to act when others hesitate, to turn situations that look like problems into something that resembles an opportunity. That is how the rich invent money, not from nothing, but from knowledge, attention, and the willingness to look where others are not looking. In the final lesson, Lesson 6, we talk about something more personal. How you spend your working life and what you are actually trying to build with it. Work to learn, not to earn. I will see you there.